Welcome to Celestial Zodiac, your home for clear and grounded astrology. Today we're exploring patterns and aspects. In astrology, most people learn about aspects first, such as conjunctions, squares, trines, oppositions, and sextiles. These aspects describe how two planets interact with each other in the birth chart. However, when several aspects connect together at the same time, they can form something called an aspect pattern. Aspect patterns happen when three or more planets create a geometric shape in the chart wheel. These shapes show powerful themes, talents, or challenges that stand out more strongly than single aspects alone. Some of the most well-known aspect patterns include stelliums, T-squares, grand trines, yods, and grand crosses. In this video we will explain what aspect patterns are, where the idea came from, and what it means if you have one in your natal chart or if a pattern appears later through transits. Aspect patterns were not part of the very earliest astrology. Ancient astrologers mainly focused on individual aspects, planetary placements, and house positions. They interpreted the chart piece by piece instead of looking at the whole design. However, as astrology developed during the Hellenistic, medieval, and later Renaissance periods, astrologers began noticing that some charts contained repeating geometric shapes formed by multiple aspects. In the 1800s and 1900s, modern astrologers started studying charts in a more visual way, looking at the chart wheel as a complete picture instead of just a collection of separate parts. They realized that when several aspects connect together, the energy becomes stronger and more noticeable in a person's life. Over time, astrologers began naming these shapes and studying how they affected personality, life events, and psychological patterns. This led to the idea of aspect patterns, which are now considered an important part of modern natal chart interpretation. An aspect pattern happens when three or more planets are connected by aspects in a way that forms a recognizable shape in the chart. These shapes can look like clusters, triangles, crosses, arrows, or other geometric designs. Patterns usually show strong themes in the personality or life path, because the planets involved are all working together instead of acting separately. Not every chart has an aspect pattern, and that is completely normal. Some charts have very concentrated energy, while others are more evenly balanced. A chart without a pattern is not weaker. It simply means the person may experience life in a more flexible or adaptable way instead of feeling pulled in one strong direction. One of the most common patterns is the stellium. A stellium happens when three or more planets are in the same sign or in the same house. This creates a strong concentration of energy in one area of the chart. People with stelliums often feel intense, driven, or very focused on certain traits or life themes. For example, a stellium in Scorpio may show emotional depth and intensity, while a stellium in the 10th house may show strong ambition and focus on career. A stellium does not form a geometric shape like some other patterns, but it is still considered an aspect pattern because it concentrates planetary energy in one place. Another important pattern is the T-square. A T-square happens when two planets are opposite each other, and both of them form a square to a third planet. This creates a triangle shape that looks like the letter T in the chart. T-squares create tension, pressure, and inner conflict, but they also create motivation. People with T-squares often feel like they are constantly facing obstacles, yet those obstacles can push them to develop strength and determination. The planet at the top of the T-square usually shows the area of life where the tension is focused and where the person feels the most pressure to grow. A grand trine happens when three planets form a triangle made of trines. This pattern shows easy energy flow between the planets involved. People with grand trines often have natural talent, creativity, or abilities that seem to come without much effort. Because the energy flows so easily, there can also be a tendency to become comfortable or not feel pushed to change. Grand trines often appear in the same element, such as all fire signs, all earth signs, all air signs, or all water signs, which makes the traits of that element very strong in the personality. Another pattern known as the yod is sometimes called the finger of God. A yod happens when two planets form a sextile, and both of them make a quincunx to a third planet. This creates a narrow triangle shape in the chart. Yods are often connected with adjustment, life changes, and feeling different from other people. The planet at the tip of the yod becomes the focus of the pattern, and the person may feel pushed towards certain experiences that seem destined or difficult to avoid. Because of this feeling of direction or pressure, astrologers sometimes refer to the yod as the finger of God. One of the most intense patterns is the Grand Cross. A Grand Cross happens when four planets form a cross made of oppositions and squares. This pattern creates strong tension and constant movement in the chart. People with a Grand Cross often experience pressure, conflict, and challenges, but these challenges can also create great strength and resilience. The signs involved in the Grand Cross can change how the pattern works, especially depending on whether the signs are cardinal, fixed, or mutable. Even though this pattern can feel difficult, it often produces people who are very determined and capable of handling hard situations. Not every birth chart has an aspect pattern, and that does not mean the chart is weak or less important. A chart without strong patterns may actually be more balanced, because the energy is spread out instead of concentrated in one place. People without patterns may feel more adaptable, able to change direction more easily, or less stuck in one life theme. Some astrologers believe these charts can be easier to work with, because the person is not pulled by one dominant configuration. Sometimes a person may not have an aspect pattern in the natal chart, but a pattern can appear later through transits. This happens when the current positions of the planets form a shape with the natal planets. When this occurs, the pattern is temporary, but it can still feel very powerful. Transit patterns can bring major life events, turning points, pressure, opportunities, or sudden changes. For example, a transit T-square may bring conflict or important decisions, while a transit Grand Trine may bring support, creativity, or good timing. Because transits are always moving, the pattern will not last forever, but it can mark an important period in life when certain themes become stronger. Aspect patterns are one of the ways astrologers look at the chart as a whole instead of focusing on only one planet at a time. They show where energy is concentrated, where life may feel easy, and where challenges may push a person to grow. Not everyone has a pattern in the birth chart, but patterns can still appear later through transits and progressions, bringing important experiences at different times in life. Learning about aspect patterns helps you understand the bigger picture of how the chart works and how different parts of the chart connect together. Thank you for watching Celestial Zodiac. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share so you don't miss the next lesson in our aspect series.